Welcome to our channel. We are sincerely trying to choose interesting stories, so we would really like to see your subscription.
Jacob sat on the edge of the bed, engrossed in one of his favorite pastimes, observing his wife of 3 decades as she prepared for an evening of dining and dancing. However, this occasion felt distinct from previous ones. Amidst the enjoyment of watching her, a profound sadness overcame him. He couldn't help but acknowledge that she looked even more beautiful tonight than in all the years he had known her. As he sat in contemplation, Leslie, about to turn 50 tomorrow, was getting ready for a private celebration. Just the two of them, preceding the family party planned for the following day. Gazing at her from across the room, he deliberately assessed her appearance, recognizing her enduring beauty and the effort she had invested in maintaining her trim figure. Pride and love welled up within him, but simultaneously a pervasive sadness crept into his heart. Jacob, usually a practical and analytical individual, found himself wrestling with a flood of emotions. He questioned if he truly knew her and if this might be the last time he could relish her presence in this manner. Deeply in love with her, he pondered on what had gone wrong and whether he could have foreseen the current state of their relationship. With a heavy heart, Jacob acknowledged his analytical skills, honed in problem solving at work, couldn't provide answers to the complexities of his marriage. Seated on the edge of their bedroom bed, he contemplated the pivotal crossroads he faced, either a new beginning or the end of life as he knew it. Over the past 2 weeks, he had meticulously planned for this evening, recognizing it as the opportune moment for a crucial conversation with his wife. He reflected on the signs that had become increasingly apparent, hinting at underlying issues within their relationship. Moments of distance, declining intimacy, and instances of her seemingly hiding the truth had raised concerns. The recent shift in her behavior added another layer of confusion. She now showered him with attention, becoming attentive to his every word and need. The sudden eagerness for intimacy and her renewed commitment to the relationship puzzled him. Jacob couldn't fathom why she had changed months ago and why she had changed again recently. Both versions of her seemed distant from the woman he had married. In the midst of his contemplation, he grappled with the unsettling question of where the caring and loving woman he married had gone. The transformation and the reasons behind it remained elusive, leaving him uncertain about the future. As the thoughts churned in his mind, he acknowledged that these two versions of his wife were not the ones he had known and loved all those years ago. It was time he decided to address these concerns and embark on a journey to rediscover the woman he had once cherished. In a tender moment, Matthew expressed his deep affection to Leslie, emphasizing her beauty and his enduring love. Leslie, looking at Matthew's reflection in the mirror, responded appreciatively, expressing her reciprocal feelings. However, she couldn't shake the concern about his recent emotional withdrawal, pondering the underlying issues in their relationship. Despite her efforts to strengthen their bond, Leslie sensed a growing distance. Determined not to give up, she reflected on her unwavering love for Matthew, vowing to persevere. Matthew, grappling with inner turmoil, quietly questioned the equality of their love, prompting Leslie to inquire about his mumbled thoughts. In an unexpected turn, Matthew hinted at a need for a serious conversation, leaving Leslie shocked and anxious. As they prepared to leave, the tension lingered, and Matthew conveyed his intention to address pressing matters. Leslie, sensing the gravity of the situation, anticipated a challenging discussion ahead. Jacob, maintaining a serious demeanor, outlined his concerns and presented questions, urging Leslie to reflect on them throughout the night. Leslie, fearing the worst, speculated about the impending conversation and its potential impact on their marriage. In their tumultuous relationship, Leslie had initially distanced herself for several months, leaving Jacob feeling cut off from her life. However, in the past 2 weeks, there was a sudden shift in her behavior. She started acting as if she were devoted to him, striving to meet his every need, especially in the bedroom. Jacob had endured months of navigating her unpredictable mood swings, feeling like he was treading a minefield of emotions. The challenges extended to instances of dishonesty, as Leslie had lied multiple times about her whereabouts and companions. The breaking point for Jacob was when he discovered he had unknowingly footed the bill for a dinner for two, a situation he was certain didn't involve him. His suspicion grew into a belief that Leslie had been having an affair which had recently ended. Jacob confronted her with a series of questions. Did she want a divorce? Did she love someone else? How many times had she cheated, and with how many partners? Did she want to salvage the marriage, and if so, did she plan to continue being unfaithful? As Jacob presented these questions, Leslie sat there, apparently displaying tremendous control, though Jacob perceived it as her being lost for words. Sensing the need for a break, Jacob instructed Leslie to finish getting ready, intending to discuss matters later. Despite the emotional burden, Leslie managed to prepare for the evening. The couple attended dinner where Jacob refrained from discussing the charges he had leveled against her. After the evening, Leslie, mentally drained and having consumed alcohol, pleaded fatigue and a headache to avoid further conversation. The next morning, Jacob took the initiative to start the day. He got up, showered, and began making breakfast. Knowing Leslie's routine, he prepared coffee first. When she entered the kitchen, he offered her coffee and asked if she wanted anything else. Leslie declined breakfast, citing the events of the previous night and the lingering effects of alcohol on her stomach. Jacob, determined to postpone the discussion until morning, proceeded with breakfast and showed surprising ease in falling asleep that night. The following morning, he resumed his routine, creating an atmosphere where a potentially difficult conversation loomed. The discussion about the direction of their relationship consumed Jacob's thoughts as he urged Leslie to take her turn in expressing her feelings. He reminded her of the emphasis he placed on truthfulness and candor from the previous night. Leslie, addressing Jacob directly, conveyed that he was the only man she had ever loved and the sole person she had been with since their wedding day. She denied any desire for a divorce, refuting the existence of a mysterious lover. She insisted on her fidelity and professed her commitment to their marriage until death. Leslie explained away a credit card charge as a forgotten business dinner, potentially overlooked by either of them. She affirmed her desire to remain married to Jacob, asserting that her love for him was the only reason. Acknowledging her fault for prolonged physical distance and attributing responsibility to Jacob as well, she recognized a dry spell in their marriage, now realizing the need to rekindle their love. Over the past 2 weeks, she had been attempting to shower him with affection to reignite their diminishing flame. As Jacob stared into Leslie's eyes, she maintained composure, meeting his gaze without flinching. She openly declared her love for him, emphasizing her devotion to him alone. Jacob, however, responded with a shift in expression from sadness to profound sorrow and a sense of loss. Concerned, Leslie inquired if he was unwell, contemplating the need for emergency assistance. Jacob, his voice growing stronger, expressed his love for Leslie but hinted at disappointment, suggesting she may struggle with honesty. He accused her of not being forthright despite giving her ample opportunities, revealing his growing frustration and anger. Jacob admitted to doing everything in his power to salvage their marriage, implying a sense of futility in Leslie's efforts. In his solemn moment, Jacob extended his arm into his desk, retrieving a sizable manila envelope. Without uttering a word, he passed it across the table to his wife, Leslie. The contents held a somber message. I still love you, but love alone is insufficient. I no longer wish to be your husband. Divorce proceedings are underway. Seek legal counsel, as I am resolved to sever all ties. I will be leaving soon, and we shall not cross paths or communicate again." As Jacob rose and ascended the stairs, he embarked on the task of gathering his belongings. Having already secured a hotel room and heeding his attorney's advice, he meticulously arranged the financial aspects of their impending separation. Meanwhile, Leslie, paralyzed by shock, remained seated at the kitchen table, witnessing Jacob's departure without the ability to intervene. Her bewilderment persisted even after Jacob left, keeping her immobilized for nearly an hour. Eventually, she summoned the strength to confront the ominous envelope. Unveiling its contents, she discovered legal papers spelling out the dissolution of her life with Jacob. Desperation and regret consumed her as she pondered why he couldn't believe her sincerity in wanting to repair their fractured marriage. Attempting to grasp the situation, Leslie noticed an overlooked item within the envelope, a photograph. Retrieving it, she was confronted with a stark reality, an image capturing her infidelity. The picture vividly displayed her indiscretions on their marital bed with a man who was not Jacob. A scream of realization escaped her lips. Leslie acknowledged her husband's awareness of her carefully concealed affair with Phil. Despite her attempts to rectify the damage inflicted on their marriage, she now realized the importance of sincerity and honesty. Regretfully, these virtues were not among her strongest qualities. The bitter realization set in that Jacob had departed for good, and divorce was the only acceptable resolution in his eyes. She grappled with the truth that the affair, with all its passion, paled in comparison to the time spent with her husband. Recalling their wedding vows to have and to hold in sickness and in health, forsaking all others, intensified her anguish. The pain she now felt, though incomparable to Jacob's, was the most profound she had ever experienced. Leslie accepted her role as a cheater, realizing that the stain of infidelity would forever define her. The pedestal on which her family had placed her crumbled, revealing a painful truth. She had betrayed her husband, children, and the entire family. The weight of the consequences mirrored the harshest pain she had ever known, a consequence of her own choices.
I'm currently in the summer season, typing this from the room I used to occupy in my parents' house. It feels peculiar being back here, surrounded by relics from high school and old posters. Nevertheless, that's my reality now. I never envisioned finding myself in this situation, but here I am, attempting to make sense of it all. I feel the need to share this with someone, even if it's just a group of strangers on the internet. My spouse, Nellie, and I have shared a long history. We met in college, immediately hit it off, and have been inseparable ever since. He's always been the dependable, strong type. The guy who can fix a leaky faucet and then whip up a gourmet meal. Our friends used to joke that he was a real-life superhero, and to me, he was everything. However, a few months ago, everything changed. Nellie, an avid cyclist, had a severe accident during a training ride. A car swerved into the bike lane, and although he managed to avoid a direct hit, he ended up with a badly broken leg that required surgery and an extended recovery period. The surgery was intricate, involving the insertion of a metal rod and screws to stabilize his leg. The doctors assured a full recovery, but it would take time with weeks of no weight bearing on his leg. No cycling, no cooking, no household fixes. He was confined to the couch, relying on me for almost everything. I thought I was prepared for the challenges. After all, taking care of the person you love when they're down is what you do, right? However, I wasn't ready for the emotional impact. Seeing Nellie, my strong and capable husband, suddenly become helpless was jarring. It felt like he had transformed overnight into a different person. The hardest part was the loss of intimacy, exacerbated by the doctor's advice to abstain from intercourse. The painkillers he was on further dampened his libido. I tried to be understanding, but it became increasingly difficult. I missed the physical aspect of our relationship, but more than that, I missed feeling desired and the connection that came with closeness. I started to feel resentful, and in a moment of weakness, I made a decision I'll regret for the rest of my life. I cheated on him. It wasn't planned. I met someone at a bar, and one thing led to another. The night I returned from cheating, I found Nellie on the couch, his injured leg propped up, staring blankly at the TV. The guilt was overwhelming as he confronted me about my actions. He couldn't believe I had betrayed our marriage, and the conversation ended with him asking me to leave. I packed a few bags and sought refuge at my parents' house. They are unaware of the full extent of the situation, thinking we're just dealing with some marital issues and needing some space. The weight of guilt and regret accompanies me, and I don't know how to proceed. I love Nellie, and I miss him, but I fear he may never forgive me, and I may never forgive myself. I'm not seeking sympathy. I acknowledge my wrongdoing. I simply needed to share my story, even if it's with strangers on the internet. If you've made it this far, any advice or words of wisdom would be appreciated. I feel utterly lost right now. Update. Hello again. It's summer. I wanted to provide an update on my situation, though it's not the kind of update I ever anticipated sharing. Following Nellie and I's tumultuous experience, the divorce proceedings began. I harbored some hope that things would resolve more amicably, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The legal process concluded with me receiving no alimony whatsoever. I'm still grappling with this reality. I understand the magnitude of my mistake, and I'm not trying to cast myself as a victim. However, the financial strain of being on my own, especially under these circumstances, is hitting me hard. During our marriage, Nellie was the primary breadwinner, and I focused on part-time work and managing the home. While that arrangement worked for us, or at least I thought it did, I am now scrambling to find full-time employment. My skills feel outdated, and the job market is unforgiving. Living with my parents is both a blessing and a constant reminder of what I've lost. I'm attempting to be resilient and rebuild my life, but some days feel overwhelmingly challenging. I've read some comments from my previous post, suggesting that I got what I deserved, and perhaps there's truth in that. I betrayed Nellie, and this is a consequence I must face. However, understanding it theoretically is different from living it daily. I'm not seeking sympathy, I just needed to express my thoughts. If anyone has experienced something similar, any advice on rebuilding after losing everything would be genuinely appreciated.